it's Elise, and today I will be administering your psychological evaluation. I know that sounds scary and kind of like a psychological evaluation, but it's not scary at all. Actually, I think we're gonna have a good time. I think we're gonna have a very good time today. Yeah. So you can just make yourself at home, be comfortable, and don't even worry. Just treat it like a conversation with a friend. Yeah. Okay, so just to get things started out, I would like you to introduce yourself to me. Yeah. In any way you see fit. You can just introduce yourself to me. Okay. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, and I'm gonna be totally honest with you. Pretty much everything you say or do is part of your evaluation. So even your little introduction there. I like to be transparent with the people that I evaluate, so I'll let you know. For example, even the way that you introduce yourself to someone, I think says a lot about you and how you identify. So for example, most of us lead with our name. That's normal for our identity, but then what do you say next? A lot of people might say their job, their occupation, and that shows how important their job is for their self-esteem and how big of a role it plays in how they identify as a human being. Some of us might say how old we are, and that shows how much value we place in our age. Some of us might say where we're from. Some of us place a great importance on our roots and our hometown for our identity. So yeah, just letting you know. Just letting you know. And I will be taking notes if you don't mind. And if you did mind, that would be a problem because I would not be able to evaluate you today. Because I forget everything very easily. So I need to take notes. Okay. Okie dokie. So next I just need to ask a few questions about your background just to get a fuller picture of you and who you are, aside from your lovely little introduction that you gave me. So first of all, could you tell me how old you are? Okay. And have you ever received any sort of psychological evaluation before? Have you seen a psychologist? Okay. And have you ever been to therapy or counseling of any kind? Yeah, the school counselor counts too. The school counselor is a counselor. It's in the name. Okay. And have you ever or are you currently being treated with any sort of medication for anything at all? Okay. Okay. Okay, and could you please tell me your employment status? Yeah. Okay. And what kind of work is that? Could you tell me in just a couple sentences what you do on your day-to-day for work? Okay. Alrighty. Yeah. Okay, and could you tell me what you like to do for fun? Yeah, if you have any free time at all. Okay. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, thank you. So I now am going to show you some pictures, and without thinking too heavily, I just want you to immediately tell me what comes to mind when you look at these pictures, okay? Your answer can be one word, it could be a sentence, it could be a feeling, it could be anything at all, okay? There's really no right or wrong answer. So for example, let's do a practice. Let's do a practice on my mug here. So what do you make of this picture? What do you make of this? Yeah, let you get it closer, like you can. Okay. Personally, I don't know what I make of this. I don't know. Because it looks like it's reflected, but this person is sitting on a small, looks like a puddle. And this puddle is much bigger. What in the world? I don't know. But, that didn't actually count towards your evaluation. Or maybe it did. I don't know. I haven't decided. But let's get going on the real pictures here. Okie dokie. So, I need to get ready for these pictures, because these pictures kind of overwhelm me a little bit. I don't know, they evoke very strong emotions in me, so I have to sort of mentally prepare before I show you. Hold on a second. I need another sip of my drink. What do you think is in my cup? What do you think is in my cup? The answer is coffee. It's coffee. Can you see it? You can see it a little bit. It's coffee. Okay, I think I'm ready. Are you ready? I hope you're ready. So I will just let you take a look. Here's your first image. And you don't need to think too intensely about it. Okay? Let me just take a note of that. Okay. Thank you. Alright, are we ready for the second image? Hope so, because I'm gonna show you. Here's your second image. Yeah. Okay. Let me take a note of that. Okay. So let me get to your third image here. Okay, this, I almost told you what I thought, but then that would influence your test. Okay. Yeah. No, you can take a moment, you can think about it. I know I told you to not think, but whatever. You can think about it. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Okay, I'm not gonna tell you. I'm not gonna tell you my personal thoughts. Nope. Not going to tell you. Okay. And here's our next one. Here's our next one. Yeah. I know, they do kind of start to all look the same after a while, don't they? Okay. Alrighty. Okay, ready for the next one. Yeah. Okay, let me just write that down. Okay, and the next one. The next one. Yep. Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay. It's number 7. Number 7. Oh. Apologies. Number 7. Yeah. Okay. Now this one's a little different. I need to stop giving my commentary. I'm sorry. Can't help it. Okay. Do we have our answer? Okay. And here's this one. Yeah. That's right. Where is it? I don't know. I don't know anything. Okay. This might be our last one. May or may not be the last one. Yeah. And in case you need a better look, I'll give you a better look. Get all up in your personal space. And away, far away, close up, far away, close up. Okay, very good, very good, very nice. Very good, very nice. Well done. Okay, thank goodness that's over. So I really need to. Okay, your answers were very interesting and actually deviated from a lot of the common answers. If you don't mind, I told you I get very emotional and worked up about this. So I just have to tell you, what most people say and the ideas behind it, okay? So for this first one here, the most popular responses is a bat, a butterfly, or a moth. A bat, a butterfly, or a moth. These are the most common responses. Yeah. And so it's rather simple and pretty easy to interpret, and that's why it's shown as the first card to sort of get you adjusted to the task itself, and also if one has trouble identifying anything in this picture, which is considered quite easy, then it can show some stress or some issues going on with our decision making skills. So, but yeah, I think you answered quite quickly. Me personally, I think bat. Okay, and this was our second one. Yes, this was our second one, and let me tell you. So the most common answers that we get is either two humans. I'll give you a second. Do you see the two humans? Yes, they're facing each other. This would be their heads, and this would be their hands, and they're kind of high-fiving. Or we get like some sort of four-legged animal, like a dog or a bear or something. So it kind of depends if you're seeing this as two beings or as one being in one. Yeah. And also, it's important to note how you interpret the color red here. Some people interpret the red as blood, and that can be very telling of, any interpretation of physical harm or negative emotions that might come up in those situations. Yeah. Okay, and this was our number 3 that I showed you. This one is a little funky. So most people say that they see two people. I'm going to be so honest with you. I do not see two people, but that is a response that we get a lot, and I'm still not seeing it. Me personally, I first thought clown. Like, I saw clown face. Like, that's his red nose, and he has the red lines painted on his eyes, and I felt kind of scared. This one scares me. I don't like it very much. Yeah, but it is thought that your response to this card can show if you have struggles in certain social situations and how you interact with others. And apparently, how you interpret how the two people are interacting here can tell us something about how you interpret social interactions. Now, I don't know what it means that I saw a scary clown. I think it makes sense because I am very scared of social situations. Yeah. Okay, and then here was the fourth one that I showed you. Yeah. And so a lot of people see like animal skin, you know those animal skin rugs that you might see on the floor. Yeah, a lot of people saw animal skins here. That is our most common answer. Yeah. And this one is often used to pick up undertones of depression, because this is quite dark. Previously you were seeing lots of red, but this is just very, very dark. So your reaction to the sudden darkness might tell us a thing or two about any darkness that you might be feeling. Yeah. And this also can tell us how you might interpret authority figures. Authority figures, because some people see this as kind of a foreboding being. For me, for example, I saw like an alien or something big and scary, and these are his arms and that's his head, and he just looks like a very foreboding figure. And so that might be a tell about how you might interpret authority figures, and if you have a negative reaction to that, can tell us a few things. Yeah, and even if you interpret it as male or female, that can open up a whole other world of ideas about, you're a father figure or a mother figure in your life, and if there's any issues with that. Okay. And then we go back to this one, number 5. I think this is one of the more simple, easy ones. It doesn't evoke too much stress among most people. And the common answers that we get is again a bat, a butterfly, or a moth, much like the first one. So this is inserted in the middle as sort of a transition card. It's not really, it doesn't have a purpose to evoke any particular emotions like some of the previous heavier cards. It's more like a buffer or a break to reset. Yeah. Okay, and then we get back into something a little bit more difficult again after we've reset. So, do you remember this one? So again, most people say this looks like an animal skin rug, and it's very similar to the previous, I think it was card number 4 that I showed you, where there was an animal skin rug. And so I'm reading the notes here. Sorry, I don't actually remember what this is supposed to mean. The texture of this blot stands out as a stronger feature, and how you interpret some of the textures here, and how the two sides are so close together, and how you interpret that closeness can tell us a little bit about how you view intimacy, particularly physical intimacy between two people. Okay, and then we go on to number 7. I like this one. We get a lot of very fun answers with this one. I like this one very much. So a lot of people see humans, especially human heads or faces, or women or children. So people will see like two faces facing each other. For example, if these are women, they might have a fun little updo on their head and they're facing each other. I personally saw 2 thumbs ups, like a double thumbs up. That's what I saw. Yeah. Or I had one person tell me he saw the map of Japan mirrored. That was interesting. Interesting. But a lot of people do note that they see women here, 2 women, and it's associated with femininity and how you might have a certain relationship with female figures, especially a mother figure. And if somebody has a difficult time responding to this card, it can tell us that they're having difficulty with female figures in their life. Yeah. Okay, and then we have this one. This is a very fun one. We have a sudden variety of colors here. So this is always a fun one to interpret. A lot of people first point out these pink figures on the side, and many people see a four-legged animal such as a dog or a cat kind of climbing up something. Maybe a cat or a raccoon climbing a tree. Yeah. And so we also pay close attention to how, or if you even react at all, to the change in color. And that can tell us about your moods and your interpretation of a brighter, happier mood that might be associated with some of these bright colors. Yeah, and if you get overwhelmed by this, then it might show how you struggle with adapting to change and the sudden change of pace with the colors. Okay. And then next here we have another quite colorful one. Yeah. So if you remember what you saw here. So most people say that they see a human in some shape or form. A human standing upright, a human stretching out their arms, a human spine going down the middle. Yeah. But I think this one is kind of difficult to interpret, and it's more vague than the other cards and gives a lot of room for different interpretations. And so you might struggle to find anything at all. Yeah. So, more so, it's common if you struggle to interpret anything in particular here, but for those of us that do see something specific, can tell about your creativity or your imagination. Yeah. I kind of saw like a crown at the top. I was feeling like a crown, and also the colors here was giving me some sort of flag. I was seeing like white, green, and red gives me the Italian flag. So I'm thinking, the monarchy of Italy, like hundreds of years ago or something. I don't know what that might mean. So here is our final and last card. This is a very fun one to end on. This is one of my favorites. I think the more you look at it, the more different things you could see. Yeah. But let me tell you, a lot of people see some kind of creatures. They might see a crab or a lobster. Or they might see a spider. A lot of people are drawn to the blue figures on the side, and they might see crabs, or the whole thing could be a crab, or these could be spiders. Yeah, many people are drawn to the blue. Many people point out that they see a rabbit head somewhere in here, or rabbit ears. These could be rabbit ears down here on the side. Or some people see caterpillars, or worms, or snakes. Yeah, you get all kinds of things. People point out different areas, so depending on what your eye is drawn to first can tell us a handful of things. And because we let you know that this is the final card, and we also see your reaction with that, and subconsciously, if you know that this is your last chance to interpret anything, it might make you say some things that you wouldn't have otherwise said, things that you wanted to get out because you knew it was your last chance. Yeah. I see like a big star. It's kind of a big rainbow star. Because you are a star. Okay. So, that is the results of your Inkblot test. Thank you for that. Okay, let me just take a few notes here as we transition to our next set of tests. You can just relax. If you have any questions or concerns, you let me know. before we do have the next test itself is where I'm going to tell you a statement and you tell me if it's true or false in terms of how you identify or agree with this statement. But before I get into that, I'm just going to ask some little buffer questions, So just to sort of get you transitioning here, I'm going to tell you two things and you tell me which one you pick, okay? So first, salt or pepper. Okay, day or night. Hot or cold. New or old. Black or white. Okay. Book or movie. Orange or blue. Okay. Fire or water. Up or down. Sweet or spicy. Buttons or zippers. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. And could you please tell me what color you think represents you? Okay. And could you now tell me what animal do you think represents you? Yeah, you can give me more than one answer, that's fine. Okay, and now I want you to imagine that you are going to be going on a road trip, a very long drive in the car. I want to know which seat would you choose. So you could be in the driver's seat, you could be the one driving, you could be in the passenger seat in the front, you could be behind the driver's seat in the second row, you could be in the middle in the second row, you could be in the left in the second row. Okay, which of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 options are you choosing? Okay, and now I would like you to tell me one kind of bird, any kind of bird, just whatever bird pops to your mind. Okay. Alright. I think we are ready for our next set of test questions now. So I am going to read a sentence in the first person. For example, I like the color blue. And if that resonates with you, you can say true, or you can say false, or you can say neutral. Try not to say neutral though, try not to say neutral. If you must, you can, but try to answer true or false and how it resonates with you, okay? So number 1, if I can't do something right the first time, I just keep trying until I can. If I can't do something right the first time, I just keep trying until I can. Okay. Alright, number 2. Heredity is the major factor in determining someone's personality. Heredity is the major factor in determining someone's personality. Okay, number 3. You can overcome a bad first impression and end up getting along with someone. You can overcome a bad first impression and end up getting along with someone. Okay. 4. I don't like to plan too far ahead because you never know what's going to happen. Don't like to plan too far ahead because you never know what's going to happen. 5. I make sure that I get all recommended medical tests for someone my age. I make sure that I get all recommended medical tests for someone my age. Okay. Sometimes when you face a tough decision, you might as well flip a coin. Sometimes when you face a tough decision, you might as well flip a coin. Recovery from illness depends mostly on luck. Recovery from illness depends mostly on luck. People can overcome a rough childhood if they work hard. People can overcome a rough childhood if they work hard. A successful career depends mostly on being in the right place at the right time. A successful career depends mostly on being in the right place at the right time. Next, this is number 10, by the way. Intelligence is innate. Intelligence is innate. Most of the time, in most areas of my life, I feel like I'm in control. Most of the time, in most areas of my life, I feel like I'm in control. Someone who is generally happy and positive has probably had an easy life. Someone who is generally happy and positive has likely had an easy life. Any committed citizen can have an influence on their government. Any committed citizen can have an influence on their government. 14. You can't avoid your fate. You can't avoid your fate. You can change your personality if you work at it. You can change your personality if you work at it. There's nothing you can do to avoid getting sick. There's nothing you can do to avoid getting sick. Next, people who have miserable lives can usually blame their parents. People who have miserable lives can usually blame their parents. 18. If I see something unfair, I try to change it. If I see something unfair, I try to change it. 19. There is no such thing as luck. There's no such thing as luck. No such thing as luck. Okay. When people struggle, it's usually because of their own mistakes. When people struggle, it's usually because of their own mistakes. Okay, that was the last question, by the way. Okay. Now I'm just going to interpret the results. Okay. So I'll tell you what that was testing was your locus of control. Maybe you've heard of locus of control before, so most people can go into one of two categories, but it is a spectrum. But generally, if you have an internal locus of control or an external locus of control, so internal locus of control means that you believe and feel that you are in control of the outcome of your life and that your actions can make a difference in the future events of your life. Whereas, on the other hand, an external locus of control believes more so that the power of what happens in your life lies in external people or events or things, and at the end of the day, you don't have really control over your fate. So generally, people with a more internal locus of control have less mental health problems and tend to be able to overcome challenges with more ease than people with external locus of controls. Yeah. And according to your results, you fall on more of the internal side. So on the bell curve, you are more over here on the left, meaning that you have a bit more internal than the average of people. And so you tend toward a more healthy sense of agency in your life. So like most people, you land somewhere between internal and external because it is a spectrum. But because you are more leaning towards internal, your outlook places you closer to having a strong sense of agency. And this brings you some advantages with how you overcome challenges in your day-to-day life, but there still could be some areas where you could improve or make a change. Okay, yeah, and you should know that locus of control is not entirely innate, and it's not something you're born with. It can be changed with effort and with strategies that you implement in your daily life. But also parents play a really important role in how they raise their children by fostering an internal locus of control by modeling it themselves, and also by encouraging their children to be independent and associate actions to their consequences. Okay. And self-efficacy, or the belief that you are able to accomplish tasks and achieve goals, is very heavily linked to locus of control, generally, but not always. And people with an internal locus of control do tend to have higher rates of self-efficacy. And there's also a strong link between locus of control and general health outcomes. So the more strongly that somebody believes that their actions can determine their future, they're more likely to engage in healthy behaviors. They're more likely to make conscious choices about their diet, about their exercise, because they believe that these choices will lead to positive results with their health. Okay. And research has shown that people with an internal locus of control tend to perform better in school, because again, if they believe that they're going to They believe that if they study and if they put in the work, then they will have a positive outcome, which is good grades. And they also tend to become more engaged in their community and civic life for the same reasons. Yeah, and people with an internal locus of control also tend to be more resilient and cope better with stress because they believe that their actions can truly make a difference. And that even if they're having a hard time, they are able to take action and take steps to slowly overcome such challenges. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we learned a lot about ourselves today, didn't we? Let me just finish up here. Okay, I think I got to ask you most of everything that I wanted to get to today. Yeah. So I will analyze your answers throughout all of today's tests, and then I will send you a more detailed report of your results. Okay, so you should be receiving that report in the next couple of days. Until then, I hope that you stay healthy and have a nice time, and I